Daniel Boardman's here. He's YouTube, got his own show on YouTube. I watch the CBC, so you don't have to.
And on Tag TV, the Uninterrupted, every Wednesday night I ramble on and on and on about whatever it happened.
Never seen a millennial admit to rambling on and on and on. You guys do, but it's refreshing to see somebody who admits it.
Yeah, I'm at least I'm a bit more self-aware than the average idiot.
Now you have another job.
I'm the communications coordinator of the Canadian Anti-Semitism Education Foundation.
The Canadian Anti-Semitism Education Foundation.
Yeah, it's...
so what's it like when you get all these rednecks in a room and you try to educate them?
Depends on the type of redneck. I mean, I find like the ones that are like, Jesus will save us. They're like, they kind of get it. Like, Jews, like, don't... Our job is based...
Who's the enemy? Who's the enemy there?
Who is the enemy? Anyone who wants to sort of nuke Israel. So it's like the radical right, the radical leftists, and like the crazy... I
think it'd be easier to just say who doesn't want to.
Yeah, the Muslim Brotherhood types.
Us.
Yeah, us. Yeah, but yeah. People strapping bombs to them. Anyone who wants to nuke Israel. So, right. You got the, crazy Islamists. You got the crazy leftists.
Yeah. Well, you'll be happy. I'm a pro-Semite.
Pro-Semite. Yeah. We take it, yeah.
I go gefilte fishing with two of my Jewish friends every Saturday in the summer. That's how much I love the Jewish people.
Have you ever been in a house where they're making gefilte fish?
Yes.
It's torture.
It is awful.
It's god-awful.
I'm a big fan of most of the food.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of gefilte fish.
Never.
I'm also not a big fan of matzo ball soup.
Matzo ball. I'll fight you on the matzo ball soup, but I get the gefilte.
You won't fight me because you're a millennial.
Yeah,
you'll say something behind my back.
I'll say something mean about you on the internet.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you'll do. You won't fight me. You won't fight me on it. Yeah, big fan of smoked meat. Big fan of chopped liver.
Panzers,
which is really pate for poor people.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, Panzers is great.
Yeah, Panzers is great.
But another great one was Yitz's, but it's gone now.
It's gone.
I can't believe it.
Alav Shalom, as we
say. Where the fuck were you when they closed Yitz's? You're supposed to be the communications director.
Unfortunately, how many years ago was that?
It was only 6 months ago.
Oh, so 6 months ago? Then I
failed. Bunch of skinheads were out front closing down Yitz's, and I didn't see you.
Is it on? It's on Eglinton.
By the way, I'm often mistaken for a skinhead. Based on appearance alone.
I'll talk to the Zionist Conspiracy Council, get you off the list.
So you're what, 28?
28, yeah.
28 years old. And you're an activist.
Technically, but I don't know. I more just like make fun of the news and sometimes myself and crazy people. But yeah, sometimes I have to yell at the prime minister. So whatever. I don't even know how to.
Yeah, you seem to dislike him and the NDP leader equally.
Yeah. Equal because.
But you're not a conservative, right?
I'm a conservative, yeah. No, I'm open about it. I'm open about where my political leanings are.
You're a 28-year-old conservative.
I'm a 28-year-old conservative. Why do you think a right-wing Zionist organization hired me? It's like, holy, a 20-something-year-old openly admitted conservative who actually understands something about Israel's legal rights? Well, let's...
Okay, so what do you think of the LGBTQ community?
LGB, couldn't care less. I'm a millennial, have fun with it. Again, I'm libertarian on it, but I've read the laws on this stuff and the radical T rhetoric directly contradicts the radical Q rhetoric. Yeah. But they're both legal, and if you point this out, it's like illegal to think. It's Orwellian doublethink. Yeah. The way it's written. So I'm with Jordan Peterson on what he said about the Bill C-16 law. So I don't think you have the right to say you must call me a Z or a Zer compelled speech. Right. I'm very fiercely libertarian on the free speech. I mean, I'm kind of where, because I went into comedy for years, and I was I'm pretty big on the free speech. And
it's funny about the LGBTQs. They all hate each other.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to.
We're not allowed to mention it.
Say anything negative to any of them.
Yeah.
None of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The bees are going to get it. I have a theory that eventually, the way that the laws are written, I think B is going to become illegal soon.
Really?
Because if you go to the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal, I've done this, and this is the definition.
Well, you and 99% of other people who want to make $4,000.
Yeah, yeah. But the way it's sort of written is the law says any negative impact, unintended negative impact constitutes discrimination. So think of that: unintended negative impact.
Right.
It couldn't be more nebulous, and it just goes in. But it also says that non-conforming someone's gender identity, where they could be nowhere on the spectrum. But if you say you're bisexual, you are giving into a system where you admit that there's a binary, that there are two genders, right? And that could make someone feel slightly uncomfortable.
I always thought bisexuals were just greedy. That's my take on the bisexual thing.
Yeah. No, yeah, but I think you can make a
you get to strike
case.
out twice as often as everybody else.
Oh, and the L's and the G's do not like them because they think they're just like straight people having fun.
Well, they think they're hobbyists.
Yeah.
You know, they just go to the meetings to see whatever they can snag.
Yeah. And the new thing is like, what does Q even mean now? Like there was like some like British actress, like just some hot British girl who was like Jamala or whatever her name is. And then she got in trouble because she like had an opinion or something that 95% of people believe in. And then she got attacked for it or something. She's like, well, now I'm queer. It's like, what? Like,
yeah.
Now and then just queer means anything. Now I'm queer.
By the way, it's a word they use with each other.
Yeah.
You better not get caught using it.
No, I'm queer. I'm demi-pansexual. I'm only attracted to women who think they're men who look like women.
Back up.
Yeah.
Demi-pansexual. You know what? That's a new one for me.
Me too.
DMS. I gotta hear what a demi-pansexual is.
No idea. But it's it is a real thing. It's I'm only attracted to women who are really men but look like women. So women who think they're men but look like women.
Really?
Really.
So in other words, you want to fuck somebody and have them fall asleep 5 minutes later. That's basically what it comes down to.
Maybe.
That's what you want.
Or I just want to call myself Q and have it on record, so when they come after me in court, I can be like, as a queer person, I probably won't even remember.
But demi-pansexual, if they're born women and
I just made it up.
They still identify. Yeah,
it's basically I'm women. It's a way of saying I'm
identify as women.
Yeah,
you're a heterosexual.
No, I'm a demi-pansexual. Listen, you boomers don't get it because
knock it off.
Knock it off.
Yeah. How many times have you used OK Boomer?
I think I'm being forced to use it for the first time in my life.
Right
today.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Fuck off or I'll open a jar of peanut butter. How does that sound?
A bit brass.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're going to get from us. Or screw off unpaid intern for life. We got a million of them.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. That one should go with the unpaid intern.
You guys used OK Boomer too much the first day.
Yeah.
I mean, you were directing OK Boomer at 85-year-olds. Which tells me that you're a product of the fact that math is not important in school anymore.
Well, yeah, I helped a lot of people with their math homework back in the day. I can believe that. I can believe, yeah, my generation's math skills. I remember. Yeah. I have a huge problem with that. I'll give you the boomers this. I remember in first grade, I actually do remember being the snowflake generation because I remember one day they came in and it's like, they literally showed us a picture of a snowflake and told us, guys, you are all like snowflakes because all snowflakes are special and different. And on the math thing is they would just enable kids who
I think what they really meant was when the heat's on you, people fucking melt.
That too. But it's also like the entitlement special thing comes from the snowflake. They literally told us we were snowflakes in school. I remember that. But on the math thing, we were really enabled if you say like, oh, I'm not good at math. Like the biggest one's like, what type of learner are you? Are you an audio learner? I'm a visual learner. Yeah, I'm a visual learner. No, shut up. You just like watching movies in class.
Right.
Like I'm a visual learner. No, I like when the teacher shows movies instead of making us do homework.
Where'd you go to university?
Queen's University.
Oh, okay. That's pretty radical.
Yeah, well, they all are. I mean, my brother went to UBC, so
even more.
But so he thinks Queen's is a conservative school. Yeah. And it's like, okay, yes, because it's slightly to the right of Karl Marx that it becomes a conservative to a UBCer, but they're all radical. There's no like I don't know. You hear things about the University of Chicago. I've never been, but I went to university in Canada. Radical, like you might as well.
So where's the radicalization come from? The professors?
Professors, and it's
who are boomers.
Yeah, there are certain courses that I remember are like left-wing brainwashing courses. I remember actually taking like the first bird course. It's called everyone said you should take human geographies because it's the easiest course at Queen's. You learn nothing about
human geography.
Human geography. You learn nothing about human beings and/or geography. Right. Completely out of the thing.
Well, depending on the person, there's a lot of topography there.
Yeah. So there's actually what reminded me the most of that course is in your first episode when you talked to Ryan Belrose and he told you the story about painting a stick red and showing it to the teacher. That person taught me human geographies.
Right.
One version of that. And every class was basically something happens and it's just like how the natives were treated and like everything was about the natives. Nothing made sense. It's the first time I heard the word gentrification in a terms of moral panic. And I remember one time I actually walked out of class one day because we were talking about Turkmenistan. And she was such a overzealous douchebag. She couldn't pronounce Turkmenistan properly. It didn't even end in Stanter. It was like Turkmenista. Turkmenistan, and it's like, no, that's Turkmenistan. I
This
see
was
it.
the professor?
Professor. Couldn't say Turkmenistan. She overpronouncing. I was in the mountains of Turkmenistan talking to, it's like, she couldn't say jihad either. She was Yehid, was how she said jihad. And like, it was pretty funny. But one day she's just
How
talking.
about Netanyahu? Did you have any trouble with that?
She didn't go there, but like, I would have probably.
Because I know at least 10 people in broadcasting who have trouble with Netanyahu. It always makes me laugh.
Yeah, she got to, I remember this mountain Turkmenistan, and then she just goes in.
I mean, the last couple of letters are hooray. How can you forget how to pronounce his name, Netanyahu?
Yahoo.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yahoo.
Yeah, that's the one.
So easy.
Yeah. But the long story short on that is she just started talking. They're building a road in Turkmenistan through the mountain, and this is like how Canada mistreated the. I'm like, nope, that's a road in Turkmenistan. Has nothing to do with the Ojibwe, and just like walked out of class that day. I was like,
so what happened? Did you go back?
I went back for the other ones and to take notes, but like I got a whatever. I passed the course because it's just like.
Yeah, but I heard if you piss them off, they don't pass you. But if you disagree with them on anything, you get a failing grade.
But that's not in the small classes. That was like the main lecture hall, so they had no idea who my name is. I was just like, nope. Just walked out from the back.
So what's your degree in?
Psychology. I have a psych degree, which is next to useless.
You have a psych degree, and you have a YouTube show called I Watch CBC So You Don't Have To, and you're the communications director.
Yeah, the worst of the CBC is, that's the line. I watch the CBC so you don't have to. Yeah, every day I watch the CBC.
So why didn't you become a psychologist? Every time somebody tells me they have a psychology degree, they're not a psychologist.
I don't want to like.
Yet there's people like Dr. Phil who don't have a psychology degree who are psychologists.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Yeah, I can't. I have a bit of a mouth on me, and I couldn't just sit there and follow a rule book. Like if someone like with legitimate problems comes in to talk to me, I'd be like, let's say something really funny now, and then I get disbarred. Like it was just I saw no future in psychology in any type of therapy with another person under a rubric where I don't get disbarred.
It's like I met a guy a couple of weeks ago who told me he had a degree in geography. I said, you ever heard of waves? Like, what the fuck? You actually, you're actually out of a job before you even get into a job.
Yeah, I mean,
with some of this shit.
Like unless you want to try and like be a Jeopardy champion, I don't see how geography degree really helps you. Yeah,
not at all. Yeah. Now, you get along with your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah, you love them?
Yeah.
Why?
They're good parents. They're good parents. They did a solid job.
But they're boomers.
They're boomers. They're just marginally crazy, which is where you want the people to be, so they don't think they're too normal.
Yeah, but why are you blaming us for everything?
I don't listen.
Okay, tell me. Okay, you have friends your age. Why are you blaming us for everything?
It's the same thing. So I think the okay boomer thing comes from a lot of. I remember like. It is, and there's like writings for like the Romans did this too, where the current generation, let's say the boomers, which will then be the Gen Xers, which will then be us, will blame the Gen Z and they'll blame the whatever. Like the kids are not as tough as they used to be. Blah blah blah. I think that we
it's not a question of toughness. You know what it is? You had better parents. Our parents were the fucking worst. We could have been raised by wolves. That's the difference between boomers and millennials.
Yeah.
I mean, our parents sent you out the door at 7 o'clock in the morning. Didn't matter how rough the neighborhood was. Yeah. And you didn't come back till 6 o'clock at night. And God help you if you came back at before 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they gave you 3 squares a day and a roof over your head, and they viewed that as their job. Now, I'm not saying this to criticize, because I feel bad for you guys, because we got a lot more breaks than you did. It was a better economy, better jobs. What else? You could buy a house.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that is like economic insecurity.
Although with all the money you guys spend on Uber, you should build a time machine and go back and buy a house or even a car.
That's the one. Yeah, I think it's sort of natural human nature.
Uber's you guys.
It's us. But I think a lot of it is just
Uber Eats is you guys.
Yeah.
Uber Eats. Most calories you burn are from the couch to the front door, no matter what it is you're ordering. Like you could order a steak dinner with caviar, and it's Uber Eats. You don't even go to a restaurant.
Damn millennials.
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that strikes me as absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think the baby boomers, like also Social Security is a scam, or it's basically a Ponzi scheme. And then when you have a giant group, right? I mean, the baby boomer generation, it's a baby boom. So there's lots of them. So you're gonna hit Social Security. And
so we're gonna milk it.
You're gonna break the stupid system.
Yeah, we're gonna milk that thing we paid into for 35 years.
Yeah, exactly. But you're gonna break it, and then we're gonna pay into it. It's gonna be gone by the time we're there. So I don't blame you for that. That was like
it's not going to be gone. It's the third best pension fund in the world. Canada Pension.
You trust these idiots to keep it in check?
I don't know. I mean, unlike you, I don't have to care, but I don't know.
That's the problem.
I like to think they will.
Yeah, once your generation starts going to the nursing homes, that's gonna burn out
but most of those nursing homes you got to pay for.
Yeah, but there's a lot of subsidized medical stuff.
I mean, the government nursing homes are, the ones where you'll die within 2 days anyway.
Oh yeah. That's big. It's like a hospital. Hospitals are more dangerous than like 90,000 packs of cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah. Now, what are you most afraid of as a millennial?
I guess I'm so different from the rest of my generation because like how many millennials are like Trudeau?
Well, you're supposed to be a typical millennial. That's why we brought you in.
That's what your producer lied to you.
Yeah. I'm supposed to view you as a typical millennial.
Okay, a typical. Like, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of?
Well, what's your generation afraid of?
Their shadows, everything. Like literally everything being offended. Like Trump or something.
Like what's sex like for you guys?
We have Tinder, so it's I guess emotionless and on demand.
Right, and you also invented Pornhub.
Yeah,
that's you guys.
And Canadians too. That's a Canadian invention.
Pornhub, yeah. We used to brag about it. Yeah, we used to brag about the zipper and basketball, but now we're bragging about Pornhub, which I think you invented because it's cheaper than dinner and a movie.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to leave your house.
That's because I was of the generation where you have to like wait till like Friday night at whatever, and like on Showcase that was like you got like boobs would show up like once a week, and it was a special event. Yeah. Now it's like go to boobs.com, hit them up.
Yeah. Now what did we do to you in the job market? What did we do that was so bad?
Outsourced. You outsourced them all. Gave them China.
You
sent all the jobs to China.
I got to give you that one.
Yeah, you did send all the jobs to China.
I have to give you that one.
Yeah, you did.
But we fucked ourselves too.
Yeah.
We kept everybody who looked Chinese, but we did ship out most of the jobs to China.
Yeah, ship the jobs to China, brought in the Chinese to take the jobs here.
Yeah. What's your generation's view on immigration?
My generation's view on immigration is probably like immigrants solve life. It depends on like again but I think this is less of a generational thing and more of a left-right thing. And yes, younger people skew more left. So, I mean the Trudeau generation, like my friends who are Trudeauites, can't handle any sort of reasonable conversation on immigration whatsoever. So I remember trying to have these conversations with. It's one of those things where it depends on how you phrase it. So. Open borders sounds good to my generation. I've said that, like open borders. Yeah, no borders, no borders. I'm like, okay, so you think anyone should be able to come into the country at any time whatsoever, get citizenship, and be able to live off Canadian welfare? Well, no. Okay, but that's open borders. So they like things that sound nice.
You're a racist.
I mean, if when it comes to having reasonable opinions, I get on that. But
you're a racist.
Yeah, it's what happens when you think that maybe we should have an immigration policy. So I'm pretty big on having an immigration policy that isn't ridiculous.
Right.
But again, that does not make me a typical 28-year-old. It's one of the harder conversations to have with people because then everyone gets into like, but like I know an immigrant. It's like, yeah, and my grandparents, well, 3 of my 4 grandparents were born here, but you go one.
Well, how come there's so much racism in your generation? There's a lot of anti-Semitism. I mean, they just took a 28-year-old guy and made him a communications director.
Oh, because it's cool to be anti-Semitic. Because you can be anti-Zionist now, and you don't have to admit to being anti-Semitic.
Tell people what the difference is between a Zionist and a Jew.
Okay, so Zionism is the belief that the Jewish people have the right to self-determination in their homeland. Basically, an Israel.
That's so horrible.
Right, yeah. But basically, if you believe that Israel should exist, if you believe in the 2-state solution, if you believe I want Israel and Palestine to both have a state, well, technically you're a Zionist. If you believe Israel has the right to exist, you're a Zionist. And Jewish is a religion. Now, Zionism is interconnected in Judaism because the Jewish religion is.
I didn't want to use the word typical Jew because that sounds horrible, but that's what I meant.
But yeah, it's most like over 90% of Jews are Zionists because. In the religion, it's pretty like the covenant. Like if you want to boil the Jewish covenant down, short notes it's cut off the tip of your penis, go live in Israel.
Right.
That's basically here are my laws. You accept them. You live in Israel.
By the way, I'm halfway there.
Yeah.
I'm halfway there.
You halfway there?
Yeah.
So you got half. Well, there you go.
I'll leave it to people to guess, but I've never been to Israel.
There you go.
Yeah. But I've been circumcised.
Mazel tov.
For purely.
Were there bagels? Were there bagels?
We didn't have a ceremony.
Then it's not an official ceremony.
It was done the moment I popped out of my mother.
Yeah,
it was done in the hospital. By the way, it was done in the hospital by a professional under extremely hygienic conditions. And not one of my relatives ever saw my dick other than my mom and my dad. There's the thing with you guys. The fact that, your first... the first time you expose yourselves is in front of your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, all your cousins. You know what I mean? How does a baby explain shrinkage?
Yeah.
It's got to be embarrassing as hell.
Pro tip at the bris, the circumstance, look away. Most of my family is just like at the back of the room, like in the hole.
I went to a bris and there was tons of food there, but I'll tell you, I wasn't touching it. Not after seeing that.
So eat beforehand. Pro tip: eat beforehand.
Yeah, because you should. It's just it's a horrible thing to watch.
It's a very hard thing to explain to someone else. Like, what are you doing today? There's a bris. What's that? Well, ritualistically, we're gonna take an 8-year-old baby and we're gonna take it down the stairs and then chop at the tip of its penis and have bagels.
But you got a couple of great things going for you. I rarely hear of a rabbi molesting a kid.
So they're allowed to have wives.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you mean they can molest them, right?
Yeah.
And two, the other thing you have going for yourselves that I've always thought was great is the bar mitzvah and the bat mitzvah, where, at 13 you hold up your son and say, this is a man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
It's pretty cool that you got a paper route and you're a man, but you're not a loser. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You get to be 13 and you're responsible for your own actions now.
Yeah. It's the same thing with girls, right? When they're 13?
You can do it at 12 now, 12 or 13. Some do it at 13, but you can do it as early as 12 for women.
I've always thought it was the coolest religion there ever was.
Thank you. I think you're probably the only person who's ever said that about Judaism, but we will take it. Yeah.
Jesus
was a carpenter.
Well, he was... Yeah, you're right. And he did jobs for cash.
He did.
He used to say, "What's the government going to do? Crucify me?"
That's
no. But he was also a Jew. Yeah. So we worship Jesus. We know somebody like him existed. He was a Jew. You guys say he hasn't been here yet.
Yeah, we said, Jesus came, but the Messiah is not going to come here.
I laughed my ass off if he has been here, and it was Nelson Mandela. You know what I mean?
Yeah, send him to prison for 27 years or whatever it was.
Yeah. That'll crack me up. So what about you? What about your romance situation?
I'm single.
Not seeing anybody right now?
No.
By choice?
By I guess the universe's choice.
All right.
Yeah.
So you just haven't met the right person.
Haven't met the right person. We'll say that.
You haven't met the right effeminate...
demi-queer, translucent, gender fluid.
Yeah. Where do you stand on Jordan Peterson's views, by the way?
I was a big supporter of what he said. Of course, I don't agree 100% with everyone, but I'm 100% where he was in Bill C-16. I totally get the stand he took on preferred pronouns. And Jordan Peterson also did a really good job, in my view, of sort of articulating the problem within like the universities, and just like he was able to sort of put into words what I was thinking about sociology class and just how kind of crazy it was. Yeah. He did a good job of saying like, okay, here's what was going on. This is postmodernist theory. It's like, yes, that explains my TA. That's exactly who that guy was. So I was a big supporter of him. Like the carnivore diet, like no, and
beef all the time.
All beef all the time. Like no, like beef is delicious, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. He's not the Messiah. I found his views on religion kind of interesting.
The Messiah thing comes up exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we know he's not the Messiah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My biggest issue with him is he looks like the king of the wasps. I think he'd be in a lot less trouble if he didn't look so white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, he looks like a cover boy for Christian Science magazine. That's my biggest issue with the guy. That's why oftentimes he gets so attacked. I think anyway.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm a straight white male. This is and also like try and be like a straight white male and be like, this is the problem with the LGBTQ community in Canada, and it's like, okay.
You know what? It's a funny thing about that. I've always had this opinion on that. I can't help how I was born, right? I'll apologize for anything I do.
Yeah.
I'll stick up for anybody. I believe in live and let live. But I'll be damned if I'm going to apologize for something my great-great-great-great-grandfather did.
Yeah.
You know, I don't go on Ancestry.com, ever.
No.
There's one reason not to go on Ancestry.com. Great-great-grandpa Hitler.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I want to find out. That is going to completely...
They used to have, like, commercials for Ancestry.com. It was like, one guy was like, we used to think that we were Scottish, but I went to Ancestry.com and found out that we were actually German.
Right.
It's like, who the hell? That's your commercial?
Right.
Like, it's like... Oh, it turns out our family was in South America. They said Scottish, but we were really German. Like, okay, Heinz, what do you think you're going to find out Grandpa did for a living?
Shit, I don't want to know.
It's like, so we traded and got the laser hoses, and then we annexed Czechoslovakia. It's like, you know.
So tell me a bit about your YouTube show, because you have, 100,000 followers on that?
No, I have 15,000 on.
So you have 85,000 less than I said.
85,000.
You know, if I were you, I would have gone with my number.
I would have. I've gotten hundreds of thousands of views on certain videos on whatever.
However, that is successful. If you think of 15,000 of those people coming to see you speak at a live event, that's pretty big.
Yeah,
that would almost fill the ACC.
Yeah, so now
that's how I view it.
Yeah.
Will it fill the ACC or won't it fill the ACC? I'm not saying they'll come. But I have 39,000 followers on Twitter, which would fill the ACC.
Yeah, this is sort of this.
So really, I'm more popular than the Toronto Rock. When I look at it that way.
I used to go to when back when they were good. We used to go to those Jim the Whipper Watson.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember Jim Veltman or the school teacher. I loved lacrosse because they showed their captain won like a sportsmanship award one year, and they're like he won the sportsman. Then they showed his clips, and it's just him like whacking people with a stick and cross checking people. Right. And this was highlights for the sportsmanship award, and it's just him like just chopping people in the face and everyone going crazy and lacrosse. That's such a Canadian. Underrated Canadian pastime, lacrosse.
Tell folks what the premises of your show.
So the show, the Uninterrupted's been around for just over a year, so we've built up the audience about 15,000, and it sort of started because I was doing comedy, and then I originally went into making videos through civil space. It was me and an Iranian refugee, former political prisoner. He got tortured by the mullahs and whatever, and we just realized that...
So a Jewish guy and an Iranian refugee.
And
walk into a bar.
And take on the government. But I just think some of this stuff that people think is like too serious, I just find it so hilarious. Like, I find just the state of Canada, and like, yes, I hate Trudeau, and Jagmeet Singh is a clown, and Trudeau is blackface, whatever. But I find the fact that some people inside like our government are like, I'm with the Muslim Brotherhood. It's like, can we not talk about the fact that this is just hilarious, that some of these people are actually insane and no one's like, this is what Khalid Rashid actually believes. And I just find it really funny. And it's hard because like some of your audience is like there for the serious stuff, but it's like, listen, I'm going to make fun of this guy because it's just too funny not to. And it's weird because then like,
the whole thing is people never worry about anything happening here.
Oh yeah,
they don't care who's here.
They don't
because they don't think anything's going to happen.
That's kind of why you
chances are the head of the Revolutionary Guard and Iran's brother-in-law is driving a streetcar.
Yeah.
So right away you go, well, we're okay.
Yeah, well, it's one of the it's like the whole family. Rafsanjani, who was one of the big players in creating the Islamic Republic. He was head of the Assembly of Experts, like the body that he brought in the new Ayatollah, like Khomeini. He brought him in, had a falling out, but like he then came to Canada, and he's like his family like funds tons of stuff in Canada. So like, yes, we have like Iranian influence in Canada, and it's like these people are crazy, but it's also really hilarious because like, Majid Johari is like so clearly an Iranian asset, and he's still in Parliament, and so Uninterrupted is weird because
I call you on that, but he hasn't sued anybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you didn't call a lawyer, I got to go with, well, this might be true.
So it's easier because he's actually in office.
If you didn't call a Jewish lawyer,
I
believe it 100%.
Listen, I'll fight Majid Johari in court. That I'm happy to do because is a liberal MP actually going to sue me first? And I'd have a amount of evidence. Be like, hey, Majid, what about this and this and this? And like, there's literally a video in a Persian language broadcast, but done in the UK, where some former Iranian intelligence defector who got assassinated, but his contact was basically saying, yes, Masood was talking about all these different people that the IRGC has around the world. It's not just the Middle East. He talked about this guy, Majid Johari, in Canada. And it's like, it's so obvious that Majid Johari, like he hosted Iranian parliamentarians at his house when that was illegal to do so, when there was a freeze in the embassy. And like, they're coming to his house, and like, that's against the rules. And so. How
do you know they were coming to his house? Are you a peeper?
Yeah, I mean, but it was, aside from that, like one, I do want to, Majid Johari is sexy. And yes, I have watched him shower. And yes, it's great. But that's not how, I mean, it's public record. It's public record. Like no one denies this, which is also what makes it even funnier. Because it's not like I'm doing investigative journalism and like, oh, I've got to search through these documents. It's like, it's right there. Like Google this, just Google, it's right there. And no one talks about this.
Well, I think it's funny we live in a country where they brought in a Chinese cell phone company.
Oh yeah, what?
And Canadians went, free data?
Free data. What could go wrong? I find it so funny now.
And by the way, folks, there's a reason a Chinese cell phone company is offering you free data.
Yeah, just so you know. Yeah. What could go wrong trusting the Chinese government? I love Hockey Night in Canada now. It's unwatchable without Don Cherry. Because Don Cherry was just incoherent rambling. And the Don Cherry thing is like, Don Cherry is there to say crazy things, and Ron MacLean got paid like $3 million a year to just sit there and look nervous.
Okay, but you know what? In defense of Ron, I think when he heard that comment, he had 50 people in his earplug just yelling at him to go to commercial and stuff, so he might not have caught it all.
Listen,
But they also replayed it.
Yeah,
they replayed it in the West.
Yeah, they replayed. So, I mean...
And by the way, I don't think Don Cherry's a bigot.
No, I just think he's just an old rambly guy. You know, he's too old to be a boomer.
Are you pointing at me right there?
Yeah,
he's a pointing at me?
Yeah, he's one of you. It's an old white male, straight cisgender white male that dresses in like in the most flamboyant outfits. But I find the Huawei thing, it's so funny because Ron MacLean, after Don Cherry, went on this whole like social justice thing. Like, well, we got to realize that there's big problems in hockey with racism, whatever, and like we need to do a story on the NHL doesn't have enough, black, female, Muslim, transgender, homosexuals, and this is the problem. And it's like we need social justice.
I actually heard somebody say that we have to start scouting Nigerian kids. I heard somebody say that, and I thought it was tongue in cheek, but it wasn't. I'm just picturing a Nigerian kid with his father in the backyard saying, "Never mind the dust, son. Skate."
Put her on rollerblades. Yeah. But all this social justice stuff, and it's like sponsored by Huawei. We put Muslims in concentration camps. It's like.
Well, Rogers was taking money anywhere they could fucking get it because they overpaid for hockey.
Yeah, it's like where we need to talk about social justice, sponsored by the Chinese government, which puts Muslims in literal concentration camps. So again, like I find this funny, and it is terrifying that Trudeau's just going to sell the country to the Chinese government, even though they have Canadians kidnapped. But like, also, it's really, 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 really funny.
You know what I hear from most people? Well, I wanted to like him. That's what I get out of people regarding Trudeau. Sure, yeah. Well, I wanted to like him.
I understand why he won. I totally understand how he beat Harper. People were kind of tired of Harper, and he came in the sunny ways. Like, he didn't have policy, but he at least sold himself. It's like, what's your policy? He's like, sunshine, lollipops, and it's like, okay, Canadians want. There's interesting stats on this where attack ads are effective in the States. They are counterproductive in Canada. Canadians don't like seeing attack ads. In order to win an election in Canada, you have to.
Canadians
make a case
also don't like far right.
Yeah, they also don't like far right. Far left, they're fine, but they don't want to see someone go far right. The Canadians really want a conservative leader who is fiscally conservative, socially liberal,
and marches in the gay pride parade.
Yeah, marches in the gay pride parade.
You got to march in the gay pride parade.
Yeah, I mean, I think a conservative leader.
Conservatives are at a point now where you got to be gay and march in the gay pride parade. That's the only way you're going to get elected.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I would say what the Conservative Party's official point on the gays.
Like, we should bring Pete Buttigieg here as a refugee.
Yeah, he would do fine.
He would be the PC leader.
He would be the PC leader. Yeah,
because he's got no chance for president.
Yeah, my thing on the gays is we need to say we like our gays married, not thrown off roofs.
Right.
That should be the conservative stance.
Right.
Is marry them, but don't throw them off the roof.
Yeah.
And the liberals is like, well, everyone should be married, and nothing's wrong with no one. What Iran? La 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 la. Like, so that needs to be the contrasting position. But I think I'm
envious of that community, the gay community.
The gay community?
Yeah, envious.
Yeah, just become queer. I'm telling you, be a millennial. You want some millennial advice? Just call yourself queer.
Yeah.
Invent a new thing.
No, I've always pictured it like...
Do you need a new gender? Listen, we can get you a new gender. We can get you in a new gender by tomorrow.
Yeah. I just picture two gay guys about to go out for the evening, and one turns to the other and says, honey, do I look fat in this? And he says, yeah. And the other one says, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
It's not like being with a woman.
It would be so much easier.
Honesty's easy with these people.
I mean, if only we could be gay. Yeah. If only. Life would be so much easier. You know, I would get a lot less flack from, I
think the reason a lot of guys your age don't want to be gay is because it's basically two guys together, and that means it could lead to physical injury. Because I think that's what you people are deathly afraid of, physical injury, like breaking a collarbone or pulling a muscle. You know, that's
pulling a muscle. yeah. That's the number one fear of millennials.
To me, that's why a lot of millennial guys are heterosexual.
I'll take that to the council and see how.
We used to get into bar fights. You watch UFC. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. That's the biggest difference between us.
Is we watch them.
We got bullied in person. You're getting it on the internet.
Oh yeah, the cyberbullying.
Yeah,
cyberbullying.
Yeah.
It's like, someone says to me, yeah, I could never stand the cyberbullying thing. It's like, you know, I'm of the actual age, so again, 28, 1991, where I was in that weird thing where I had some of this stuff, but I also saw stuff like get taken away. I saw life being, you know, baby proofed as we went along. Yeah. Like I was there, like until grade 7, we were allowed to play with tennis balls, and then some kid got hit in the face with a tennis ball, and they took him away like midway through 8th grade and made fun illegal. So like I was of the generation where we had sort of the old stuff and saw it get taken away.
What floored me 10 years ago was when the school board came out with the buddy bench. You know what the buddy bench is?
I can only imagine. But
well, I'll tell you what it is. It's your kid has no friends. No one talks to your kid. So the school board put this bench out in the middle of the playground called the buddy bench. And if you had no friends, and if no one liked you, they made you sit on the buddy bench, which to me made it very easy for the bully to figure out where you were and what time you were going to be there. And nobody I talked to saw it the way I did. And then sure enough, they did away with the buddy bench because the bullies were kicking the shit out of the kids that were sitting on it.
What was the point?
The buddy bench was being used to beat people to death. That's what it was being used for. They were picking it up and beating people to death. What did the
gender fluid sociology expert who decided the buddy bench was a good idea? What was the concept behind that? Like,
it was somebody in the Toronto school board.
Yeah, exactly. Some idiot was like, "We'll have."
By the way, it was nowhere else. Not any other school board. Just the Toronto school board.
And was the thought like, oh, we'll have the losers sit on the bench and then people will be friends with them?
I think the truth was they wanted to get the class sizes down, but they wouldn't admit it.
So they had the natural selection.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's what they were doing. I think that's what they were up to. You know?
I could see that.
And it's that kind of horse shit that's ruining the world.
Yeah. I would not debate that. The pussification of my generation.
It is pussification. Yeah, exactly. That's a lovely way to put it, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get letters, but that's good. Pussification.
Listen, letters are the least of my worries right now.
Yeah.
The death threats are more fun. Pakistani death threats are the most fun. They're the worst and the funniest death threats.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
40 years ago in this country, Pakistanis were getting death threats. Now they're giving them.
Yeah, they're giving them. But I get them. Like I get them straight from Pakistan, so they're authentic. Like, people claim to be part of the Pakistani government and like, everything great in Pakistan, no inequality. I'm like, I heard about this place called Balochistan. What's up with that? No, everyone's fine. It's like, I'll let them know. It's like, we want you to take down your video. And it's like, and I'm like, don't worry. I agree. I will run everything I post now through the Pakistani government. And
I'm kind of torn on that. I'm kind of flattered. I'm a little, I mean, I got an ego just like anybody else. I get a little hurt when I get a hate tweet from somebody in Nigeria. Mm. But then in my head, I also go, wow, I got a tweet from fucking Nigeria. You know?
I kind of, because I step into the realm of like politics and comedy and entertainment and whatever. I just, my theory on it is when someone sends me messages that I love you or I hate you, I just turn that in, I love you into I agree with what you just said, and I turn I hate you into I disagree with what you just said.
Right.
And that's kind of how you have to deal with it. If someone says, "Oh, I found that really funny and entertaining," that actually makes me feel good. But when someone says, "I love you, you're greatest, you got to run for,"
when you get a death threat, do you ever call the cops or anything?
No, because usually it's...
If you get a death threat from Pakistan, I can't imagine calling...
The cops, like... Yeah,
calling Toronto police.
Toronto police, yeah. What's Peel Region Police going to do?
Your radio can get... Your car can get broken into and somebody can steal your radio across the street from 54 Division. Yeah. And they won't walk out the door to look at it. So I don't think they're going to do much about a death threat from Pakistan.
Like Tag TV, my boss at Tag TV, Tahir, he gets way bigger death threats because he's Pakistani, he's Muslim, and he speaks Urdu. So he'll say what I'm kind of saying, but as a Muslim Pakistani person making these points, so they're like, gotta kill him. But like the thing is, when I criticize like, you know, the BS Islamists in Kashmir trying to murder all the Hindus there, they can kind of spin it as like, look at what the Jew is saying about us, and it's sort of like a point for them. So like they can just use it as propaganda, like look at what the Jews are saying about us, so that we must be right. So they're kind of fine with. I only get the.
I got a similar story. I went to a Black Community Award show. Yeah. I was invited, and they wanted me to speak. They wanted me to hand out an award at a Black Community Award show. I don't know why. Anyway, I went with a friend of mine, and the Grenadians hated the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans hated, people from Barbados. Barbados hated the people from Bahamas, and everybody liked me. And I was going, Jesus, don't you people have a sense of history?
Yeah.
Why am I the one everybody's talking to? It was just unbelievable.
Switzerland, neutral power.
Yeah.
Neutral power there.
Yeah, it was the weirdest feeling in the world.
It's like what you said. You said at the beginning with like the LGBTQ hating each other, but like one of the best definitions of like misogyny or whatever. So I just started a joke. It's like misogyny when men hate women as much as women hate women.
Yeah,
that's
a good way to put it. That's a very good way to put it.
But that's everyone. That's everyone. There's infighting within the Jewish community, within the whatever community. You know, everyone thinks. Every time I get into these communities, it's like, oh, the Hindus. Like, well, there's internal
speaking of
politics.
infighting within the Jewish community, I know people who are Israeli and they can't stand North American Jews
because we're all a bunch of pussies.
That's the way they think.
Yeah, and they're right. They're right.
And after the Holocaust, when victims were moving to Israel, they were given a pretty tough ride. Because the Israelis were going, hey, we never would have let this happen to us. What the hell's your problem?
Yeah, I mean,
right or wrong. Wrong is what it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's two major. It's like Ashkenazi and Sephardic. I'm Ashkenazi. That's Eastern European Jews. Yeah. The majority here.
Sephardic's more Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern. There's also Mizrahi, which is like the Arab Jews. So we can group those two together. And there's more.
Are you coming up with all these names so you don't have to say Jewish?
Yeah, but I'm just. It's like saying Christianity. Well, there's Baptists and Lutherans and whatever. So I'm just giving people the. Okay. But generally. The Ashkenazi Jews generally write Seinfeld and crack jokes, and the Sephardic and the Mizrahi keep us alive.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So like my idiot liberal brother, who's really smart, but like he's part of If Not Now. So
your brother the doctor?
No, my brother the lawyer.
Oh, interesting. So you're kind of like the black sheep of the family.
Little bit. Okay. But he's on the far left. But like he'll be like he came back from Israel and he was like it's like. I was trying to have conversations with Israelis about white privilege, and they didn't understand. It's like, thank God they didn't understand, or else I'll be dead if they could understand your like gender privilege stuff. But it's a weird thing. So in Israel, Israel, like every other country, they try and import American problems. The left does, and try and view things through a very American lens. It's all over the world. But this whole like white supremacy thing. So the Ashkenazi Jews are the European ones, and the Sephardic ones are like the majority of Jews in Israel are not white, to say that, but it's the Jews of color tend to vote conservative and be with more Netanyahu because they kind of understand the reality of the Middle East a lot better. And the Ashkenazis, the white people, are on the left. But the white leftist Israelis will try and claim that the non-white Israelis are only on the right wing because they hate colored people.
What's with I want to ask you this? What's with Netanyahu and all these criminal charges?
It's a lot of it, I would say, is the Israeli court system is very, very left wing. So the Israeli judges are left wing, and a lot of the charges against Netanyahu. Again, I'm not an expert on it, but a lot of them are quite spurious and nonsensical. Like, I would be surprised if he actually gets like whole out convicted, but I would not be surprised if they drag him through it because. It's sort of like what Trump's going through.
Yeah, but what are they saying he did? I never read what he did.
Exactly. It's
right?
just
they don't come up with any details.
It's pretty standard politics stuff. Is kind of what he did. It's his wife once got like a couple $1,000s from a donor to run like, something everyone does. Something that everyone. just.
But they come out with really nothing. I mean,
it's nothing. It's nothing.
What do you do? Shoplift a bagel? Because that's pretty much. You start to think it's pretty.
It's his friend gave him a bagel. His friend gave a wife a bagel. Like that's essentially what the Netanyahu corruption stuff is. It's a lot of much ado about nothing. And it's sort of the same problems we have here of like you get activist court judges and they try and sort of hammer you instead of through litigation, instead of through like the legislature and trying to go after Trump on policy. They say, oh, Trump was colluding with the Russians and he's in Putin. It's like, no, there's a lot of really legitimate criticisms about Trump. Like I can rant for a good 30 minutes about how much I hate his policy on Syria and Turkey and what he did to the Kurds. Like there's legitimate things we can go on, but you're not going to get me to go with like, he's a secret Russian asset and Putin's in charge. Like this whole Russia gate nonsense.
I don't believe he's a secret Russian asset, but I do believe he's being blackmailed by the Russians.
Everyone is.
You know,
but
I believe they got tape of somebody using him as a urinal.
that I don't believe, because I mean, at least until the whole Turkey thing. But now Turkey's turned against Russia because Erdogan's trying to become a caliph or whatever. But in terms of policy, he was actually the most anti-Russian on policy. Now during the campaign, he sounded pretty pro-Russian, but under him, he actually armed the Ukrainians, gave them killing weapons. He had the U.S. military actually killed Russian mercenaries in Iraq and Syria. And, he actually was pushing back against Russian aggression. So I don't think Trump thought any of that. I think Trump's just tweeting out stuff, saying things, Trump being the greatest president ever was. He likes doing he's like us. He's a comedian. You ever seen Trump rally? He's one of the best working comedians there is right now. Since 2016. Yeah,
but comedians get the joke. Daniel.
Comedians make people laugh. Listen, there's some pretty fucking weird comedians that are just like in their own little universe. And that's sort of the Trump thing. I mean, you can tell I can guarantee you can probably tell when Trump goes off teleprompter and he gets like easily. Yeah. It's one of those things. So
it's called a press conference.
Yeah. But you can tell when he's on the teleprompter, and then you tell when he's like, oh, it's Trump time. So I think a lot of Trump's presidency is like, it's Trump time. And there's some people within the administration are like, actual conservatives are like, okay, you know what, Russia, we got to kind of stop Russia here. And, we got to arm Ukraine. And then Trump's kind of just tweeting around and it's like, sure, sign off. And then, if you go against him on Twitter, then it's quite clear that Trump doesn't really understand a lot of what's going on. That's why he keeps getting in fights with his own guys, like, the Jeff Sessions thing and now Andrew William Barr. It's pretty obvious that he just doesn't really understand as much as what they're going on. And he loves them when they back him, because guys like Dershowitz and Barr, during the whole Russiagate legal nonsense, they're like, no, this is the law, and the left is being insane. So it's like, this is the greatest guy. He knows the most. He's the best attorney general that ever was. But the second that it's like, well, no, you actually can't say it as president. No, the law actually says no this time. Well, he's the worst. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So it's a bit of a volatile, Twitter.
Think he's going to win in November?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, yeah. I think it's I just...
Did you hear Russia's interfering and trying to boost Bernie Sanders now?
Of course they are. I mean...
Why wouldn't you?
There's no better person to run... I mean, Bernie Sanders is a straight-up communist loon bag. And I think one of the reasons why Russia...
I would call him a Canadian.
I call him a socialist windbag.
I would call him a Canadian politician.
He's Jagmeet Singh with an older, less coherent Jagmeet Singh. We got to get but he's like on radio. There's videos of Bernie being like, bread lines are good because in other countries there are no bread lines, and then the rich get all the food. Okay. There's literally a clip of him saying that in 1985. Literally saying bread lines are good because the rich get all the food. Like, what country are you talking about, Bernie? Have you seen the video of him shirtless in the Soviet Union singing, this land is your land, this mine? He's topless in the Soviet Union, singing about communism.
With men, you say shirtless. You don't say topless.
Shirtless, yeah. But he's man boobs.
Political satire doesn't work in Canada. You know that, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying. But like it's...
But you know why? Because we get our news from the paper.
Yeah.
Americans get their news from guys like Bill Maher, Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
They get it from their late night comedy shows.
Yeah,
they get a lot of their news from those things. Daily Show is where a ton of Americans get their news.
It's Canadians too. I mean, it was my generation was we got our news from Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart. That's kind of why I do the Uninterrupted thing, is because I was doing comedy. It's like, okay, it's time to be open and honest. It was 2015. Like, I'm conservative, and I want to say, like, listen, guys, I'm just going to be open about this. I voted for Stephen Harper. This is where I am. And part of the Uninterrupted thing is, it's a way to sort of counterbalance the push from the comedy. It's like, okay, if we're going to get our news from Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert and the Beaverton, well, there has to be a bit of a balance out there, because no one under 40 is going to, get most of their news from the news anymore, right? It's alternative media. And my thing is, like, if I have an hour show and I'm going to be talking about news of the week, this has to be entertaining. Like, I have to entertain myself while doing it. You need some sort of balance in political comedy. Like, there needs to be a right-wing.
I think the best thing here is this hour is 22 minutes. So they come the closest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but there was Rick Mercer for a bit, but really it's nothing.
Too soft.
Too soft. Yeah. It does. And honestly,
I mean, they're even afraid to say fuck. I mean, you got a guy like Bill Maher in the U.S. who I don't always agree with, but his BS meter is right. Bill
Maher gets to go. He'll hit the free speech. I mean, I disagree with Bill Maher on a lot of things, but
my belief is that Bill Maher hates John Oliver. He's never had him on the show. John Oliver's got a hot show called Last Week Tonight.
Yeah.
And he's never had him on the show. I believe that Bill Maher thinks that John Oliver ripped him off. I think he thinks that John Oliver's doing the same show as he is without guests. It's always been my belief.
I would not be surprised if there's like a massive ego thing going on at the HBO political commentary thing. He doesn't want
to filming. I think they're filming in the same building too.
Yeah, because they're both HBO, so they probably are. Yeah. It's a good point. He's never on the thing. Yeah. How funny would it be if we actually just exposed that major beef and then that came out?
I've heard it before from other people.
Okay. Okay. So you're on. So you had insider information.
Colbert without Trump. Trump made Colbert. He was number 3. Now he's number 1.
Yeah.
Trump made Colbert.
Yeah, because Colbert was.
And now when he goes to the desk, he does a thing called Meanwhile, so he can work in other monologue jokes that aren't about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's doing that to kind of get ready for when Trump's gone.
Yeah. I mean, Colbert's not been funny since he left the Colbert. He was great as a fake conservative pundit. That show was hilarious.
I think the show's great. I think his new show's great.
You do? I did not find it.
Well, you should check in again. It wasn't the first 2 years, but it is now.
Okay, it is now? Okay, hopefully. I mean, I don't watch it.
I watch late night different than everybody else does, but I think that Colbert's better now, way better now than
Can't be worse. He can't be worse than when he started.
About 3 years ago is when it got really good, and it's around the time of the arrival of Trump.
Well, I mean, that Trump saved all late night comedy.
But nobody does it like Colbert. You should watch it. Nobody does it like Colbert. He goes after him every single night, and it's for 10 minutes. It's amazing. Now, I know you're not a typical millennial, but I always feel like I got to defend my generation, so here goes, all right?
Okay.
So I went on the internet yesterday, invented by us.
The Jews?
No, us.
The boomers.
The boomers.
Okay.
Might have been actually, they say it was Al Gore, but I believe it might have been a Jewish.
Yeah, I doubt it was Al. I think Al Gore might have been in the room while it's like how Steve Jobs invented the Apple phone. It's like, no, that was a nerd, Steve Wozniak. You just wore a turtleneck and said innovation.
And that's one right there, Apple. Steve Wozniak, that's us.
Yeah.
All right. DNA fingerprinting, that's us. We're the reason people don't get wrongfully convicted. Or if they do, they get a ton of money and they get out. That's us. Internet, like I said, synthetic skin.
Synthetic skin. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because you people have a lot of acne. It's also for burns.
I feel like your millennial invention is just a bunch of useless apps.
We killed communism.
We brought it back.
True, which was not good.
Yeah.
I was going to use that on the other side, by the way, to say you brought it back. Freedom Riders.
Okay.
Kids who took their lives in their hands went down south to fight for civil rights. You have civil riders, too. They're called turnstile jumpers, freedom riders.
Yeah, I mean, the civil rights... that's
what you guys do. You jump a turnstile and get on a free subway.
Yeah, our civil rights movement's pretty pathetic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Mandatory seatbelts, which, because of your generation, we wish we hadn't invented. Email. Home pregnancy test, which is no good to you guys because all you do is masturbate on a woman and then go home.
Get abortions, yeah.
Yeah. And GPS, so millennials know where they are at all times.
That's helped.
That's us.
Thank you.
Yep. And let's see now. Well, the pet rock was us, which is kind of stupid. I gotta.
Yeah.
We made a guy a millionaire who put a little rock in a box. That was bad. Here's you guys.
Okay.
Avocado toast.
Oh, so original.
Because butter is so hard to spread. Airbnb, because you like living in other people's houses.
Yeah, that's
Right. You were born doing it.
Yeah.
Spotify, so you can steal royalties.
Screw you, Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Netflix, so that you could kill movie theaters.
That's where racism happens.
Yep. And banking apps, so that tellers could get laid off. You kind of screwed yourselves out of jobs there.
Yeah.
Let me see now. I don't know about this one.
Hit me.
Well, the selfie, because you don't have any real friends to take pictures of you. We all had friends who took pictures of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, now we could.
And often they were in the picture. We had timers on the camera, but you guys have selfies.
Well, yeah, that's the camera phone.
There's almost as many letters in selfie as there is in selfish. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of in the word.
Yeah. And the big one you got, I mean, you know, we might have had some dictators, but you have Mark Zuckerberg, who developed a platform so that you could rate chicks and hurt their feelings.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to hurt their feelings. Someone's got to take pretty girls down a notch. Yeah, our generation managed to give self-esteem issues to the hot girls. If anything, we took hot girls down a peg emotionally, which
which is such a great idea. Which spawned the Me Too movement. Way to go. Yeah, you brought them down more than a notch. You brought them down 3 or 4 notches, and you made them mad.
Yeah, that was, hindsight, not
like the reason choice. These guys show up at pro-commie rallies is because there's a really hot-looking chick there with long hair and a black turtleneck.
Half of the
you're going to get laid.
Half the NDP rally is just people trolling for pussy.
Yeah,
that's male feminists. We got the world of male feminists.
By the way, the word trolling for pussy is ours. You just
no. Trolling was ours. So excuse me, sir. Okay, boomer. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, boomer. All right, that's a great way to end it. Unpaid intern. Well, you can't say that. You got your own show.
Those are I believe unpaid intern. I believe that's slaves.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
You're a good guy. Daniel Boardman. You'll be hearing more about this guy. Oh, one more thing. I looked up boomers who changed the world. There were 128. Millennials who changed the world. There were 14. You still got time.
We got time.
Yeah,
that's
And Boomer invented the blue box, and I guess you people brought back blue balls.
I have an ex-girlfriend that definitely applies to.
All right.
There you go.